Being a filmmaker is almost just like being a photographer. This video will not be about filmmaking, but it will be more about how a filmmaker can easily also be a full-time photographer and make money making stills too. A couple of my friends have just launched, or they're launching these days, a new clothing brand, and they have asked me to do the photos for their website, show off their products.
Hey, my name is Anne, and now we've been shooting for my new brand, Caspara.
We have decided to do this in my apartment. But before we start, let's quickly go through our setup here. So I am using my Godox 60 watts on each side from the back here, just to create some more light in the apartment and some backlight to separate the subjects more from the background. I'm gonna use this Pro Photo 810, I think it is. With the flash, I'm obviously gonna use this umbrella to reflect the flash. Also, in a studio like this, you can make it pretty minimalistic. I'm very curious about these lights back here, if they will work or if we will use them at all. And I'm also curious about how much light we'll get from the window, because usually there's a lot of light in this apartment, but today it's a very gray day outside, as we say in Norway. It's very rainy and cloudy. At least the light will be constant, so that is good. I will use my Sony a7 IV for the whole shoot. When it comes to the choice of lenses for the shoot, I'm gonna use the 24-70 and just mainly use it on the 35mm. In a perfect world, we would have a makeup artist with us, because on a shoot like this, it's so important to avoid getting those reflections on the skin. But this time we don't, so we just have to make the best out of it, and I need to be better at what I'm doing.
We've been shooting all day with two lovely girls, yay! And two boys that did pretty good, so I'm so excited to finally just launch everything. And it's launching in the end of April.
Okay, so that was the shoot. We are done. It went well. I would say that this is one of the most challenging things that I do. Regardless of it being in a studio where you have control of everything, there are just so many things you need to consider when it comes to shadows on the floor, on the backdrop, everything, and also being able to make sure that you have your models in frame, because sometimes a toe might be cut off in frame and you might just face some challenges with that light back there being in frame. And obviously if you had a proper studio it would have been easier, but I thought I would go through what were the main challenges I faced today and how I solved them. Number one is obviously the space we have here. We don't have enough space. I wish I had more space in that direction so I could be further away from the models. I could have more backdrop on the floor.
Hi Leo, what's up?
In this case, I just had to make the best out of it, and I feel like we definitely did. Oh, I did it again. I'm actually done with this video, but I would just love for you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, maybe even leave a comment if you want to. And like I said the last time, it's not like I need it, but it would be fun. Okay, let's jump back to it. In a perfect world, I would have wanted to be more straightforward, like straight on with the camera, whilst I sometimes had to angle the camera a bit above, just to make sure that I had the subject in frame without getting the light in there, or sometimes the backdrop was not even tall enough. The second issue or second problem that we faced was the shadows. I do prefer to have as little of shadow as possible. So trying to figure this out was a challenge, and it is hard because obviously you have lights coming in from both sides and they're lighting up from behind, and obviously you will get some shadows in front. So the way I solved this was putting up some of the nanlight tubes in front just to kind of compensate for the light that was coming from the back, and that helped on the shadows on the floor. This was obviously just an issue when it came to the full body shots. Full body shots are the ones that I find the most difficult because I feel like I don't have as much control of whatever is going on, and also again space, full body, it is an issue. As soon as we came to the close-ups, just tights or the tops, it was much easier. Then we were kind of facing this challenge of getting too much light from this side, and as the day developed or evolved, we got more light from the outside, which kind of ruined this nice shadow that I wanted on their face. In a studio shoot like this, you don't want too much shadow on the subject's face, but you do want some just to not make it look flat. Those things are, I would say, the main mistakes. Other than that, you can play around and do as much as you want to. Just take this picture as an example. Some people would say you should not have this little spot from the light here, but I do feel like it creates this cool vibe, and you get like light, shadow, light, shadow, light, shadow all the way. And I also really like how it's a bit overexposed in some of the pictures on the side where obviously it's not the side that is facing the camera, because just like with video or filmmaking, the shadow side should be facing the camera on photos. There are always exceptions, and you don't have to follow this rule 100%, but most of the time that is general rule. I need to emphasize this. I briefly said it before, but what your style is the way you're doing this. Like, it does not matter what anyone says, because there are so many ways of executing a studio shoot. There is no right answer. Being creative, doing whatever you want is key. I feel like that is something that all creatives should know. What you think is cool, as long as you don't break those general rules, you're okay. And sometimes it's even okay to break those general rules. When I'm saying general rules, I mean lighting your subject super flat, for instance, or not separating your subject from the background at all. You do want your subject to pop. The way you make that subject pop is up to you. That's what I would say. And also, same way, playing around with shadows on the backdrop. What you think is cool is okay. And then obviously, if you're doing a commercial shoot, your client needs to be okay and on board with it too. The third thing, or I'm not sure if we're on the third thing, but anyways, you want to have your models be as natural as possible. When you're not outside in natural environments, it is kind of hard to make sure that your subject feels okay with the whole situation. They might feel stressed out or tense or not feel like they can be themselves 100%. They need to feel comfortable to be the best version of themselves. So my job as a photographer is to make sure that these girls or these boys feel like they can just be relaxed and find the poses that they feel comfortable with. And a pose that works for one person might not work as well for the other one. So you just need to be chill about it and let them figure it out. And that is why I don't really love doing giving too many instructions on how to pose, because these girls or boys, regardless of their experience, they know how they feel comfortable, and that is more important than anything. Of course, there are things you can help the models with, so I like to tell them to do some natural movement, and sometimes maybe even like do a circle or turn around on the spot, just to see if we can catch something in the moment. And usually for girls, if they do something to their hair, just like on their way up or as they do it, that also works pretty well. Another thing that we did today, which is I would say like you can't do it without it, is having music on. You need to have music on so they can vibe, they can dance a little bit, feel free, just feel loose, because music will do that to you. And that's something that I do on all my shoots. Another thing that is important to emphasize is that you need to get a mix of shots of the model looking into the camera and the model looking somewhere else. So some of the shots today, the girls were looking straight to the side, some were just up in the air like this, and some just into the camera. And then you also need to consider, what is this shoot for? What is the purpose? So the purpose we had today with the focus on the clothing or the brand is very different from the one when I have someone in here to just shoot pictures of that person to make him or her look pretty or cool. Because then you're branding the person. Today we were branding the clothes. And that is a very, very big difference. Making sure that they're posing in the right way, not too much, not too little. Those things are very important. Another problem that you might face in a shoot like this, or in general when using a backdrop, is to make it seamless, like make it look as good as possible, because getting wrinkles on it, it's not nice. Yeah, you can do a lot in Photoshop after, but just making sure that it's as nice and as few wrinkles as possible is important, because it will save you a lot of work in post. And the way I did this today was I pulled down as much as I needed and I taped it to the floor, and then I just pulled it back up, and then I got this nice little curve on it. And I think that having that curve is necessary. Today it was actually pretty easy. Other times it's been really bad and it's been a hassle, so you just need to find your workflow for this. But I think that one day I will have my own studio set up all the time, and then I would want to have them on the wall so I don't have to put up the stand, because the stand it just seems so cheap and it seems like the only one I can get. But yeah, when you are in an apartment like this where we have natural light coming in from the windows, you need to kind of adjust the lights and the flash throughout the whole day, because the light will change a bit. Luckily, as I said early on, today we had cloudy weather, which makes it much easier because there won't be too many changes. If it was a sunny day where the sun kept going in and out, we would have had more of a problem with that. So today was the first time I was actually doing simultaneously transfers to my computer, so we got the pictures on my computer as soon as they were taken. This is something you need to do if you're doing a lot of studio photography, because it's so easy to have your client say, I like this, I don't like this, and you can also see it yourself. Sometimes it's very easy to kind of not ignore, but miss out on something being out of focus on your little screen on your camera. So having it on your computer makes all the difference. I know this video was not about filmmaking, and this channel is one filmmaker, but this is also something that I do on a regular basis. I usually have a lot of still photography jobs, and I thought it would be nice to share this experience with you. I think that there are so many things that are just the same. So for me, for instance, when I learned lighting as a filmmaker, I knew how to do it as a photographer too, because the technique is the same, the things you need to remember or be aware of, they are the same, and the same goes for like everything that you're doing as a filmmaker and a photographer. They go hand in hand, as you would say. So if you're a filmmaker and you're not doing still photography, maybe it's time for you to try it out, because I'm sure you're a very good photographer if you're a good filmmaker. I hope that this was helpful, inspiring, or something. Go check out Caspara, the newest brand that Norway has, I guess. And I'm really curious to see how this goes and to get one of those hoodies. Thank you.